Hello everyone, welcome back to the full stack web development course where we were building a live project called Stack Overflow. We are just making a clone of it. In the previous lectures, we have just completed the most of the UI part. So we have done the navbar, the sidebars, as well as this thing around here, as well as we have went through this login page as well as the sign up page as well, and we have also completed the ask questions page. You may see, and as well we have completed the questions displaying page, as well as displaying a particular question, as well as its body content, as well as its tags, as well as we can just upvote as well as downvote. And we were also displaying all the answers, and there's a form to post a particular answer from a particular person. The balance things in the UI part is nothing but the tags page as well as the users page. We will concentrate on these two things after completing the core concepts of this application. So in the upcoming lectures, particularly in this lecture, we will just target this authentication page backend code, and then we will try to complete this ask question page, and then we will display every questions here all the way here, and then we will be just doing how to answer a question, and then finally we will be just coming to the tags as well as the user speech. So that's all our path is going to be for the next few lectures. So we will just continue with the backend code first. So we will go to the code here. So you can see our client and the server is here. So we have completed, we have done a lot of client side. So now we will just come to our server side. So first you can see we got package JSON, package log, as well as the node modules down here. So you can see we do have a lot of dependencies already installed, like bcrypt.js, course.env, express.js, and web tokens, as well as mongoose and nodemon. So these things are gonna be we're gonna just use these things also. So first we will be just altering the scripts first to start our server. So to do that, we're gonna just change this test script into a start script, and then in here we'll be just having nodemon index.js. So what the start script is gonna do, you can see. First let me just open this terminal around. So you can see our client side is already running here, but if we come to the backend code, the if we want to start that server, like see, so we will just get into that directory, and we have to just gonna say npm start. If you are going to say npm start, then what is this start command is going to be? So it will just come to this scripts, and here I have found. So npm will find the start script here. So it will just replace the start with a nodemon index.js. So now here it will be rewritten as npm nodemon index.js. So what's that gonna do for us? So it will just start our live server. So to do that, first we have to just create an index.js file inside the server. So index.js, it's gonna be it. So we do have the index.js file here. So now what I'm gonna say, we will just have to we first have to import the express. So to import things here, what we can do, we will go to the package JSON, and in here I'm just going to change one thing. Here I'm going to have another type, which is gonna be module. So if the type is gonna be like module, what we can say, we can use import express from express, like so we can do like something like this. But if you didn't have type is gonna be module, if it is like common JS as usual, so how you have to import things like express, you have to do const const express is gonna be equals to require, and inside that we're gonna have the express. So this is how we have to input things. If you didn't use the type, is gonna be common JS. So since we are adapting from React, so besides using this express like require of express, you guys will be familiar with you can be familiar with things like import express from import, which is going to be easier for you to be just adapted from those React JS to the Node.js. So it will be easy for us to use import express from express like this. So we will be using a line called type is going to be common JS, not common JS. Instead of common JS we will be having module like so we will just close this packages and now, and inside this index.js we're gonna also import mongoose, so where we will be just creating our database, and we will be using that mongoose to access and do operations like CRUD operations in our database. And we will just going to have course from course. So course is going to be used to eliminate cross origin issues. So whenever see if this, we will explain what is course while I'm running this server. Don't worry as of now. We will just start with and then we just going to have a const app is going to be equal to express. So this is how we can create our server. So by this only one simple keyword, by using the server, we will just create our express server. So by using the class express, we will just by importing express, we can just use our app is gonna be a server now. It is gonna be an express server, and then what we gonna say, we just going to have app dot use, and inside that we just going to have express dot json of. So since we are gonna just write our backend is gonna be like a REST API, this is not going to be a static one, this is going to be a REST API one. So we will just receive response requests only through JSON, and we will just reply to that that request as a response with only the help of the JSON. So we are just going to set a limit for that, but we can extend that limit also, which is going to be a true value. So the next thing we're going to use is the app.use is going to be express dot URL encoded of. We're gonna just set limit for this thing also, which is gonna be 30 MB as well. And then we're gonna say extended is also gonna be true. So here's a typo. So the extended is also gonna be true. And then what we're gonna just also use course also. So I will explain what is course is going to be. Wait for that. And then what we're gonna have, we're just going to have app dot get. If the app receives a get request with a single slash in its URL, what we're gonna just have, we're just going to have a request comma response in an arrow function. There's gonna be a callback function. The second parameter of get method is going to be said as a callback function, and this callback function, this is going to be arrow function. You can see this is an arrow function, and it has particularly the request as well as a response. So we don't want to apply any conditions for this request, as well as we want to just give a response as rest.send. This rest can be abbreviated as a response, and we're gonna just send this is a stack overflow clone clone API. We're gonna just say something like this, and then we're just going to give a const port which is going to be equal to process dot env dot port. We're just going to get the port from the environment, the available port. If there is no available port, then we will be just using 5000 as our server's port. And then what we gonna do, so now this is time to create a MongoDB database. So actually what people would like to do, they will just create a static MongoDB database. They will just install the MongoDB in our local storage, and they will just use that. But we don't gonna do in that way. What we can do, there is a something called cloud storage in MongoDB called Atlas. We're gonna just make use of that. So if we gonna go to the website called mongodb.com, there is something called as Atlas. So we can make use of it, by using which you can save all the data in MongoDB's cloud storage itself, and you can access their data, your data from there. So you can see here is something called as Atlas, multi-cloud application data platform. Here in Atlas there is also paid database, but we can use they are just providing free trials for us. We can just use shared hosting as free things there. So we will just go and try it out for free. So if you want to give try free, so it's gonna be ask you to log in or sign up. So if you just sign up, it will just route to a new page like this, where you can create and manage your applications. So you can see this is our local Stack Overflow clone application, which we have already deployed in the Netlify. You can see that this is its analysis, as well as you can just connect to that. You can explore what the data is already present. So we are not gonna get into these things. First we will just create a new database for our currently working project. So we will just create it by just click this and just go ahead and create a new project. So in here we will just name the project as a Stack Overflow clone. So I'm just going to create that. I'm not going to give any permissions for that. I'm just going to create a project. And you can see our project is being created. So now we will just create our database first. So it shows like server list, there's gonna be money for that, as well as dedicated. It's also we have to pay. So this is gonna be highly recommended, which has a dedicated database if you are deploying a production application live project. So you can just use this dedicated server. Since we are just going, it is for a development purpose, as well as it is gonna be for education purpose. So we can use as shared hosting. So this is gonna be free. You can see we'll just create the database. So here just leave everything as the same, and just give a cluster name as you want. Okay, stack dash overflow dash cloud. So don't touch any of the other things, just name the cluster name. So create a cluster now. So here we go, our cluster is being created. It will take a couple of minutes. So within that particular time we can just go to our database access, and here you can just add new user and just provide a password as well as a username and a password. As of now, to remember, I'm just going to give both of the things as admin and admin. But if you are creating a production based live project for your client or any other client, you're gonna just make these things as confidential. So I'm not just going to leave this thing like this. After completing the project, I will just delete this database, so there will be no use of using this anymore. So for learning purpose, we are just making these things as admin and admin, but these are confidential. You have to make, sorry, you have to be highly conscious while we are creating these things. So I'm just going to add a new user. I'm just going to close this as never. So we have created a database access. Now we have to create a network access. So in this, so now I'm just going to allow access from everywhere. So we can just use from anywhere with any client. You can just connect. So now it will be just created within a couple of minutes. So if we go to the database now, so it just takes a bit of time. You can see it's being created, so we have to wait for that. It is also loading, so we have to wait for a couple of seconds. So in that meantime, what we can do, we can create our backend file structures. Like we will be just having models, as well as we'll be having controllers. We also gonna have middlewares. I will explain what are these things, don't lose hope. And we will be also having routes. So these are the folders we are gonna use. So now we will see is that being, so it takes a bit of time. So you can see now our database is now created, and if we go to the network access, now you can see it is active. Now it has also been created. So we will just go to the database now. So now we have to connect to our backend to our database. So we will just hit connect, and here we have to connect to our application. You can see you have to connect it to our application. So the backend code is nothing but Node.js. If you are using Python, PHP, Perl, or whatever, you have to click that. In our case, it's gonna be Node.js. So it's gonna be 4.0 or later. So in here, we have to just copy this piece of code, and we have to replace the password as the user's password which we have created in the database access. So copy this and close this down. So now we will go to the code part. So we will just see again here. Okay, what we can do, we will go to this part, and what we just going to use mongoose.connect. So I have already told to access the database and to modify contents there. We're just going to use mongoose to do those things. So I'm just going to use mongoose.connect. In that, I'm just going to pass that entire URL. So here we're just going to say const connection, sorry, connection underscore URL is gonna be equal to, so these things we have to wrap everything inside a string. So in here just change the password of the user what we have provided. In this case I've just left it as admin. So we are just going to pass this entire thing inside in here, and this is gonna be and the next parameter is gonna be use new URL parser. So we have told that we just going to use a URL parser, and then it's gonna be we have to, so it's like we have to use a unified topology, and then it's gonna be true. Sorry, here's a typo as well. Unified is gonna be true, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to have a callback function here, and if the app is running successful, and then I'm just going to say app.listen. Sorry, I'm just going to listen for a connection from the front end. We're gonna just listen this app. The app is gonna be an express server, you can see, and we have used a lot of middlewares. These things are also called as middlewares, which we use inside this use. So we are just saying the express server to listen in the port 5000, and the callback function is gonna be if it is listening perfectly, then we are just going to say console.log of backticks server running on port, and in here I'm just going to format the port. So yeah, I'm back, and then if there is an error in the meantime, we're just going to catch that particular error, and we are just going to console log that particular error. We're just going to say error dot message, like so. So now it's time to run our server. Now the server code is ready to be run, so we'll just hit enter. We have already written npm start. We are inside the server directory. You can see now we are just going to do npm start. So now you can see the server is running on port 5000, which means our app is being listening to the server. So now if I just gonna go to this web browser, here I'm just going to have a local host, and the port number is going to be 5000 because we have you can see our application is running on port number 5000. Here I'm just going to hit enter. So now you can see this request is going to be a simple get request with a single slash. You can see there is no anything other than the single slash in the URL. So it returned this is a Stack Overflow clone API. You can see in here what I have done. If there is a get response with the single slash, which means in the home or the root URL, what I have done, I have just send a response. This is a Stack Overflow clone API, like so. So this is it. We have just simply we are running the server now in the Node.js, and we have also successfully connected to the backend because there is no error thrown in the terminal. You can see. So we have stepped our first step now. So now the thing is gonna be we are just going to write the API for authentication. So the first thing is gonna be we have to write a function to get a response. So what we can do, we can just write a app.post request. The request we want to send is nothing but a post request, and in here you can just write it's gonna be auth slash sign up, like so. And we can just here write a function to do sign up. So here we can write a function to do sign up, but I don't specifically do like this, because this is particularly for only one response. The response is going to be like localhost slash 5000 localhost 5000 slash auth slash sign up. This is going to be only one response. So sorry, it's going to be like here. So this is going to be only one response, but there will be also a response like without sign up. We're just going to have a login, there's going to be a response, and then we'll be having a question, quest slash post a question, or update a question, or answer a question. There is going to be request for uh, deleting a question. There is going to be a lot of requests like this. So what it will make our index file a lot more complex. So we have to keep on write response we have to keep on write responses for our requesters. So we're not going to do it in the way, and there will be a lot of functions here. So it will there in this function there will be code like 15 to 20 lines. So particularly for one thing is going to be 20. For 20 requests there's going to be hundreds of 200s of lines. So it will just really make our index file totally unreadable for the developer itself. So to eliminate things like this, what we can do, we will just create a folder called routes, and in that we will try to create a file called users, which is going to be used for auth request, users.js. And in that, what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to first import express. So this is gonna be our which is gonna be used to create our entire server. So first I'm just going to create import our express server, and then I'm just going to say const router. So this is going to be a router change, and the router is going to be express dot router. So you can see the first thing here is the router, nothing but a router. So we are just going to get the router from the express, and in the router what we can say, we can just going to say the router dot if the request is a post request, then the URL is something like sign up, and then if it is a sign up, I'm just going to write a callback function here, like so. So here I'm gonna just need a parenthesis. So now it is correct. So if the request is a sign up request, then I'm just going to write all the conditions here for this sign up, and like so. I'm just going to write another request for this login, and here is going to be a callback function. There will be a lot of logics to write the login function. And finally what we're gonna do, we're just going to export default router, like so. We will just export the router, and what we will do, we will just import it down here. What we can say, we're just going to say import we're just going to import user routes from dot slash it's going to be dot slash, it's going to be inside routes. Inside that we have users.js. So in Node.js, what we have to do, after users you have to give users.js, but in React we don't need users.js. We just finish it with just users, but in Node we have to use users.js. So just have a look at that, and in here what we're going to say after this get response, we're just going to say app.use. We're just going to use this user routes as a middleware in here. So we'll just copy this name, and in the use, if the request is like user, then I'm just going to use the users routes as a middleware. So what I have done, let me explain again. If the URL goes like this, localhost 5000 slash user slash sign up, then this function is gonna be executed. If the connection is like user slash login, then this function is gonna be executed. So this is how everything is gonna be. So which looks our code, we can just read this code with one line, so it is completely readable and reusable as well. That's why we are just adapted this thing. So we're just not gonna write this entire function in here, because it's all also gonna take 30 to 40 lines. It will make our really clumsy, because we don't only have two requests, we will be just having also another two requests, so it will take almost 100 to 150 lines, so it will make our code clumsy. So we're just going to write these functions inside controllers. So that's what controllers is going to be used. So we will just create a function called create a file called auth.js inside the controllers, and in here we will just write functions like export const sign up. It's gonna be an asynchronous function, which is gonna have a request comma response, and this is gonna be an arrow function like so, and then we're just going to have the same thing, but this time it's gonna be for this time it's gonna be for a login. So it's also going to be an asynchronous function with request and response. So we can just import this both of the function here by just import. So since we don't have a common export here, default export here, we have to use the set brackets, and in here I'm just going to say login comma sign up, which is gonna be from dot slash controllers slash auth.js or .js. So this is gonna be it, and we just going to use that instead the callback function. We're just going to use this thing as a callback function in here. So this simple step, what we have done in one page, we have split that step into 3 pages. Like this step is gonna be in users, and this callback function is gonna be inside the auth. So that's how we have split the things. So our complete thing is now, our focus is now gonna be in the auth.js file. So our complete concentration is going to be inside the auth.js file. So what we can do now, we will just first create a model. So model is going to be nothing but our databases schema, or we will create a schema particularly for our users database. We will create a user database. So in here first let me just import mongoose. So I don't know why set bracket is coming eagerly, I don't know. So we have imported mongoose. Now I'm just going to create a user schema. This is going to be a user schema, and this is going to be a mongoose dot schema. In here, what are the things we are going to have is nothing but name, which is going to be a type of string, which is going to be a type of string, and it is going to be required. We are just going to apply a condition called required is going to be true. So the server will throw, the backend will throw error if there is no, if null value is provided for this name. So that's why is required is used. And then we'll just have an email. This is gonna have a type. It's just gonna also have a string, and this is also gonna be required. And it's gonna be true. So now we will just copy the same thing for the other time, for 3 times. Sorry. And in here we'll just name it as a password, and it is going to be the same as string, as well as it's also going to be required. We'll just give commas, and in here this is going to be about. So about is going to be used in the users page, which we have been covered as of now, and the tags is also going to be used in the users page. And the next thing is going to be joined on is the time when the user have joined. So in here the password is going to be type is going to be string, and it is also going to be required, but about and tags are not required, since this is going to be set up by the user after logging in. So we don't need those things, and here also we don't need the time is going to be required, but the tags is going to be a array of strings. This is going to be an array of strings because we're going to have a lot of tags, so it is going to be an array of strings. And then the joined on type is going to be a date, which is gonna set the default value is gonna be date dot now. So whenever the the user is being created in the database, it will just detect the time, and we will just, so the database will autofill the time. Now we don't want to queue the time, it will be just autofilled. And then we will just export this. We will just export this database mongoose dot model, and this model is going to be named as user, comma, and the schema is going to be schema. We will just name this model as a user, and this schema is going to be this object. So we have completed the model. Now we will just going to close this. Now we will just go to this main thing, or complete logic for sign up and login for authentication. So this is going to be major thing. So I have talked about controllers, models, routes. I will come to the middleware later of this course. And in the index.js, I have forgot to tell something like cause. So cause is used to see, consider a situation like, so this is nothing but a server which is running port 3000. This is also a server running 5000. If two servers is talking to each other, it will throw an error. If this server sends a request to this server, it will throw this error. Server will automatically throw an error called cause, which is gonna be called as cross origin. To eliminate that, we will just use cause as a middleware in use. So that's what the thing. So now we will go inside the Auth.js, where we gonna just have our entire code. So for authentication, we're just going to use JWT we're just going to import that from JSON web token. JSON web token, this is also going to be imported from bcrypt. This is going to be from bcrypt.js. So, and then we're just going to import the model users from /model/auth.js. So, I'm going to name auth.js. And in here, first we will write the function for sign up. So from the sign up, first we will just receive a request with our name, email, and a password. So if you just go to the browser, in the login page, what we have done, this is the login page. In the sign up page, we collect data like name, email, and password. So the request for the sign up is gonna have three values. We're just going to destructure that object. We're just going to send that as an object. This request is gonna be an object. We'll send that as an object, and we will just destructure that request as name, email, password. This is gonna be equal to request dot body. So in this request, there's gonna be headers as well. There's gonna be a body, and in that body we will send values like name, email, and password. We're just going to destructure that, and we're just going to have a try catch block. Here we will be having a try catch, and in that catch we will just catch the error. We'll just eliminate this thing, and we will eliminate this too. We will catch that error, and in the response we will send the status is gonna be 500, which means internal server error, and the other thing is gonna be JSON of something went wrong. We'll just say something went wrong. So what we have done, we're just using a try catch block, and inside the catch we will just if there's any error inside the try, we will just catch that error, and we will just send with the status code of 500, and the error is going to be something went wrong. So in the try block, what we want to say, we're just going to have a const existing user, where we will be checking is the user already existed. So we'll just say existing user, we'll just say await. So since we are sending this request to the MongoDB Atlas, so there's going to be a await keyword. So in that user model, you can see now user is a model in that model. So if you just gonna go to this Stack Overflow clone, we will just go to this explore data. Inside this data, the model has to be created, I believe so. So it is loading. You can see this is not loading. So we have inside so you can see our database has been created. You can see it is here as users now. So it shows like my first database, and inside that we do have only one database. It's going to be users, which we have created a model for that user. So that's what we have imported here, and in that user we're just going to say find one. We're just going to find only one record with the particular email. We're just checking, we just get the email from the user. If that email is already existed in the user's database, we will just store that value in the existing user variable. If that variable is null, or if it is not equals to null, what we can say, return, sorry, if it is equal, if it is not equal to null, then we will just send a status code of 404, which means not found, and inside that we will just send a JSON with a message of user already exists. So this is gonna be it. So if the email is already present in the database, we'll just storing it in a variable. If that variable is equals to null, we will send user already exists. So try with another email ID. So if it is not equal to null, we will just hash the given password, hash the provided password, which is going to be hashed password. We will hash that password, and here we will just say await bcrypt dot hash. I have already told we are just going to use bcrypt to hash the password, so I'm just using a function called a hash inside bcrypt. So in here we will just pass the password, and the second value is going to be a salt. You can see here the is going to be salt is going to be a number, so here I'm just going to leave it as 12, and then we'll say another const new user. We have created a new user in the database. We're just going to say await user dot create. We're just going to create that particular user in the database with the name, email, and a password. We're just not going to save the entire password or the real password. We will just save the hashed password in the database, and that hashed password is going to be hashed password. So this gonna be password is going to be replaced with the hashed password in the object which we have passed to this create method in the users database. So in the users database, we are just going to create a record with name, email, and password. So we have created that. Now we have to generate a token for authentication. So we will create a token which is going to be used to JWT dot sign, and inside that I'm just going to say email, comma, we will just pass email, which is gonna be new user dot email. So this email is gonna be retrieved from this new user dot email, which we will receive a response for this request. So this is gonna be request sent to the MongoDB, and it will just give a response which will be stored in the new user variable, and which will contain a new email which we have passed here, and it's going to be the email, and the ID is going to be, so MongoDB will generate a ID for us which is going to called as dot underscore ID. I will show that ID in the database, don't worry. And the second parameter for sign method in JWT is going to be the secret of the token. This test is going to be highly confidential thing. As of now, in the development server, I just named the secret value as test, but it is gonna be highly confidential for a live project. When it is gonna be production thing. So we will tell how to secure these confidential things like this secret, as well as if you go to the index, this URL which has a username and a password is also confidential. We will see how to secure these things also, and we will come here and we will just set a expire time, which is going to be expires in is going to be 1 hour. So the token will expire in 1 hour. So we will send this token to the frontend as res.status of 200, which is going to be successful. Sorry, I don't know what the heck is going on. So now it is okay. status is going to be status of 200, which is going to be okay, and the message is going to be result with a new user comma token. We will send the user and the token as a result. So the result is going to be the new user, which is going to be this thing, and the token is going to be this thing which we have generated. So now with this we have completed the sign up part, and then we will move to the login part. Same thing, most of the things is going to be the same. We will copy this first line and we will alter this accordingly. So if you come here to the login page, you can see we have this email and password only, we don't have the name. So we can just remove that name in here in the login function. We can just remove that, and then we will just like this, we will just have the try catch block in here also. So here I'm just going to say a try catch, and I'm just going to copy this line, paste it down here. So I will remove this, and inside this try catch block, just going to see is the user already is existing. So since we are logging, the user must exist in the database. If he exists, what we gonna say? So if the user already exists in the database, we will copy this line. If he already exists, if he didn't exist in the database, so I think in here we don't need this null, because if this value is null, we will if this value has something, then the user is existing. So if this existing user variable is equal to something which is not going to be a null value, then the user is already existed. If it is not, if he doesn't exist, we're just going to say user don't exist. We'll change this word accordingly, don't exist, like so. But if he exists, we will see the given password is password correct, which is gonna be equal to await bcrypt dot compare. We will just compare the given password with the original password available in the database. We will pass the given password, and we will send the existing users dot password. So to make things clear, so existing user will have a response from the MongoDB. If he is existing with the particular given email, we will just give the we will get the hashed password which we have pushed in the database here. We will get that password, and we are just going to compare with that given password. This is going to be the password given by the user. This is going to be the password existing in the server. So we will just compare with both of the things. If it is if the value is true, password is correct, then if it is not correct, I'm just going to return res.send. First we will send res.status is gonna be 400, which is gonna throw an error, and we will just send the JSON with a message of here we don't need this double quotes, and we'll just send a message of invalid credentials because the password didn't match. So it shows like invalid credentials. So now what we can do, we can just say something like const, we have to token generate a token for the logged in user, which is going to be token, which is going to be JWT dot sign, which is going to have the same thing in the previous thing what we have done in here. We will just create the token and we will just send to the user in the front end to use that specific token, to log in with that specific token. So this is gonna be it. So what we have done, if the user existed, we will just compare the password which we get from the database. If that password is also correct, we will generate a token and we will just provide it to the front end to do things. So now we have completed the backend part for authentication. We have completed the backend part. So now what we can do, we will just close this everything, we will collapse this and we will go to the client side. And in the client side there is a really important big concept called Redux to manage the state. So you can see I have made a basic video related to Redux, where I have just theoretically told that what is Redux and what is it is used for. It's gonna just have a major state which is gonna be called as a store, which is gonna have a large data. It's not gonna entirely mix with our React app, which is gonna be in a private region which can be accessed by our React application. It's the data is not going to be inside our React app, but it is going to be outside our React app, but it is accessible for our React app anywhere in the React app, which is going to be the important thing. So to use Redux, we're gonna have, so first let me make sure we have we have created Redux. So we have installed Redux. You can see React Redux is here. Redux is also here. Redux Thunk is also here. So to use Redux, we're gonna also need something like actions and also called reducers. Reducers will store the data, and actions is used to dispatch any update or modify in that particular data which is stored by the reducers. So to use Redux anywhere in the application, we should wrap the entire Redux with the inside the app. We should wrap the entire app with Redux. So to do that, let me just open the index file. So I have opened so in here first let me just import provider from React Redux, and I'm just going to import create store, which is gonna be used to create store, and we're gonna also use apply middleware. These things are used to give the Redux Thunk, to apply Redux Thunk as a middleware, and we'll just compose it as well. Apply middleware and compose. These things gonna be imported from Redux. So Redux is the core thing, and React Redux is used to access Redux, which is especially used in React. So, and then we just also gonna input thunk from Redux dash thunk. So now what we can do, we'll say const store is going to be equal to create store. We will just create a massive store, and we will pass the reducers first, So since now we don't have any reducers as of now, we will just name the things as reducers. So as of now, consider the name reducers. So you can see we have created a file, a folder for reducers. Inside that, we will create a index.js. I believe it is index.js. Yes, this is gonna be it. Inside we will just have an RAFC. So I think we don't need an RAFC here. We will just import this Redux from the reducers from this reducer. We will wait for that. We will just import that. The second thing is gonna be compose of apply middleware, and we're gonna apply thunk as middleware. So that's it. Now what we have done, we have just applied the thunk as middleware, and we have composed it, and we have combined it with the reducers, and we have created a store. So, and this store, we have to pass that store to the app, so it is accessible anywhere in the app. So here we will just create a provider which is gonna have the store as a prop, so it is accessible for the app. So here we will complete this, and we will copy this closing provider, and we will do it here. So this is how we can wrap the entire app with the provider, which is going to provide the store to the app. So this store is nothing but the reducers combined with the compose of applying the middleware thunk. Thunk is going to be used to handle asynchronous operations with respect to Redux. So now we will create the reducers. So this index reducers is used to combine all the reducers. So you can see we will be having a lot of reducers. So we will be having auth reducer to maintain auth data. We'll be having question reducers to contain all the question data. We'll be having a tags reducer to have all the tags especially, and we'll be having a users reducer to have all the users. And we'll be having a lot of reducers like this. So we will combine all the reducers, and we will pass those reducers inside this as a particular thing. So first let me just import combine reducer from Redux. So in here I'm just going to import the auth reducer. As of now I haven't created any auth reducer. First let me just name the file as auth.js. Sorry, here it's gonna have a typo. So in here we'll first have so here first we will create the auth reducer, which is gonna be equal to, so I will explain what are the things is gonna come inside this thing. First we will be having a prop called state, and the state has to be equal to any data, and the second thing is gonna be actions. So I will tell what are this state as well as actions in the later classes, or this later of this lecture, and we will export this auth reducer as default one. So we will catch this reducer in here. First we will import that /auth.js. So we will import that thing, and we will try to combine. So it's like we will also import something like import question reducer, like so. Since we haven't created those things, from /question reducer like so, but since we have we haven't went up to that uh, reducer. We will, as of now, we will just export this default as a default one called combined reducer, and in that we will just have the object of auth reducer, comma, we also gonna need the question reducer. We'll just have the question reducer as well, and we will have the tags reducer, like so we will be having a lot of reducers. So instead of using this like this in a separate file, we just combining all the reducer in a separate file. You can also here we can just say combine reducers, and you can just pass every reducers in here to import these reducers. It's gonna take a 10 line import line, 10 import lines here, so it really makes extra few lines in this code. So we have to maintain the code as minimal as possible, but we can create a lot of files. That's what the major concept comes into play when you are a developer. So that's how it will really improves readability. If readability improves, then if you taking this code after a year, you are just going through this, you will be clear, you can easily understand everything. So that's why we are doing things like this. So here we'll be having reducers, and this reducers is going to be imported from import reducers from dot slash reducers. So you can just leave this as a same thing, because slash, you don't want to give slash index, because the entry point of a folder is nothing but the index file, so you don't want to say it like that. So just leave things like this. We have used this reducer, and in this reducer we have combined the auth reducer with you. In the future we will be having a lot of reducers, we will combine everything, and in this reducer only our major role will be going to be played. So what we can do in this reducer, if the type is gonna be, so we have two things: the state, which is gonna be our data passed, and the action, which is gonna be our action. Like if it is an authentication, it is like a logout, it is like a sign in or sign up. We have a lot of actions is going to be performed. So what I'm just going to say, I have to check those actions, like if actions triple equals auth or logout, like so. Instead of doing things like this, I can use a switch case, which will reduce our time, or it will reduce our code. So the key is gonna be action is also gonna have a type. So we will come to the things inside. We will come to this thing later. So first, let me just have something. We will just return something. We will return. So first, we will get something here. The value is gonna be. So if this action is like auth, sorry, if this action dot type is gonna be auth, if that thing action dot type equals auth, I'm just going to return the state. Don't worry, as of now we will just return the state. So, and then now let me just close this file. We will create the actions first. So we have to give data to the reducer in order to use the data. So that's why actions are used. We have to provide the data first. So that's what actions are mainly used. So first we will just open the auth file. So we will open this auth file. So let me just give me a minute. So first, what we have to do, we have to get data from this form. So we have created a name, we have created an email input, we have created a password input as well, and we have also created a submit button to do things. So first we will create the usage variables for getting data, like const name. Sorry, first what we can do, we can just use autocomplete use state, use state. So the state is going to be name. So let me just click this, and the initial values as of now, let me just leave it as a empty string, and then we're gonna have another usage variable, and this value is gonna be email. So this is also gonna be a, and the next thing is gonna be password, and in here also we will just have set password. So this is also going to be an empty string. So what we can do, we have to if this has a value, if this name input has a value, so we just going to have a on change event handler. If there is a change in the input, so this on change means if there is a change in the input, we will just capture the change, and what it's going to tell, we'll just capture that event, and we will just say set name of, we will pass that e dot target dot value. So there is a value for this input tag. If that input tag, there is a values has, if that input has a value, if it has been changed, we will just give that value to that name variable, name use state variable. We will just set that name as this input. So that's what this line means. So we can just copy this entire line and just copy this two times, and just going to paste it also in the email, and as well as in the password in here. So in the name, what I can do, I'm just going to have an email, and in here also, sorry, so in here also I'm just going to have set password, like so. So what we can do now to get the display the value of these things, what we can do, in the form there is going to be an event handler called on submit. On submitting this form, what we can do, we can do several operations. So I'm just going to write a function called handle submit, like so. So now I'm just going to write this function const and the submit is going to be an arrow function, and in that function handle submit, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to prevent the default things. So what does c dot prevent? So here first we have to capture this event. So whatever event handlers use, you may use this, something like on submit or on change or on click, there will be an event. So if this event handler is used, it will just receive the event and it will pass to this arrow function. So I'm just going to prevent this e dot prevent default things. So what are default things which will happen when a form is being submitted? We will see first. So let me just refresh this. So it shows sliced reducer for key auth reducer returned undefined initialization of the state passed to the is not state, which means we will go down to the reducer, in that we will open this auth. So here we will just give a value like none, or what we can do, we will give a value like data is gonna be null. So now it should rectify our error. So it also shows. Oh, sorry. Let me just eliminate this. So now let me just refresh. Also shows an error. Export default combined reducer, auth reducer. This is the auth reducer which has been imported in the index. Auth reducer. Make sure the spelling is same everywhere. Auth /auth combined reducers, maybe from Redux. So what we can do, it shows many errors. You can just say this as a random value now. I think it should not show any error now. So I think we have to return something in here because since the type is as of now there's no type for this action, we have to return something like this state. So since it is breaking the statement instead of returning anything, it shows error. So it should now rectify the error. So now we'll just open the auth JSX. So now what are the prevent default things? So let me just comment this. So let me just comment this as of now. So let me just refresh, and if I just submit this form, see what are the things happening. So something is changed in our URL, and as soon as I submit, you can see our page is getting refreshed here. You can see. So now just concentrate on this two area. Now, so 3, 2, 1. I will click. It will refresh. 3, 2, 1. Go. So you can see now these things are refreshed, and there is something in the URL. We don't need this email and password things like so. We don't need these things. We don't want to refresh. We don't want to pass anything in the URL. So to do that, these are the default thing in the browser. So to do that, eliminate that, we have to gonna prevent the default. So now if I just uh, click this login 3, 2, 1, and I have clicked it, but there is no refresh or nothing in the URL. So that's what we gonna need. So we have prevented that now. So after preventing that, what as of now, first let me just console log all the data which we get uh, in the name, email, and password. So the data what we gonna have in the console.log is so we'll just have name, comma, email, comma, password. So now we will save this. Now what we gonna just open the inspect element. So now we'll just open the console. In here we will enter some email and some password. So if I just log in, you can see now we do have empty name as well as we don't have name because we are in a login page. We do have email and password, so we have captured those data and we have printed out we have console logged out. So we go to the sign up page, and in here we'll just give a display name. So now I have given the sign up. So now we do have the email name and the password. So this is how we can get the data now. So now first we will just check we do have any values, like we will check if not name. If there is no name, what we can do first, we will just check if this is a sign in page or login page. We will just check if is sign up. If it is a sign up page, what we can check, we can just check if name is provided. If not name, then I'm just going to alert enter a name to continue like so. So if there's no name, just enter a name to continue. So then what we can also have, else if it is a if it is a login page, what we can do. So if it is not a sign up page, there is also going to be values like the email as well as a password. So we can just give those things above this if statement. So both the sign up page as well as the login page will have the email. So we can just have if not email, just alert with enter email and password. I'm just gonna say something like this. In here we just have an or function. We do need to have an and, logical and here not password. So enter an email and password. This is for login page and both of the things for a sign up page. So it's like just save, and if I go to here, let me just remove all the things. If I just give enter, you can see enter email and password. So it also shows enter a name to continue. So if it is a login page, if I enter, it will alert enter email and password. So it will also say something like that. So in here now we have to handle the logic to sign up as well as login. So now we will just first write the sign up function. So first we can write a function in the action, and we will use that particular function in here. We will write a particular action for authentication, both sign up as well as login. So in that Auth.js, so we can just, so we're just going to use Axios to do or handle request for us to send data to the backend as well as retrieve data from the backend. We're gonna use Axios. So I'm just going to give a separate dedicated folder for Axios as API, and inside that I'm just going to have index.js file. So inside this index.js file, I'm just going to import Axios from itself, Axios, and I'm just going to have a const API which is going to be Axios dot I'm just going to create a base URL, which is gonna be HTTP. So the request is gonna be to the local host. So here it's gonna be 2// localhost, which is gonna be on port 5000. The backend's URL, we have to provide the backend's URL, the localhost 5000. And we have created a general URL, so we don't want to give the same URL for all the, so we don't want to write individual URL for every request. We can just write a particular single URL, so we can use that URL. So that's why we have created a base URL. So in here we will just export const log in, which is going to be equal to auth data. We will pass the auth data to the backend. So this is going to be the data which is going to be passed to the backend. So we will just use the URL, this localhost 5000 URL, which is going to contain the API. So dot post, we will just going to send a post request to the backend with a /user/login, and we will also going to pass this auth data as a body. So let me just copy this thing another time. So this time it's going to be a sign up. It's going to be sign up. In here we'll just have sign up. So if you remember, we have used this URL in the backend of the code, so we have to enter the same URL. So what I have done, so I will tell about what is this auth data later. So I have used this URL, and in this URL I'm just going to send a post request, and this post request gonna contain this URL, which is going to be localhost 5000/user/login, which is, that means in this case is going to be localhost 5000/user/signup, and we will just pass all the data as a body, so which we have destructured as an object in the backend inside the controllers directory, if you remember particularly. So what we gonna do, we will just use these two sign up and login functions which we have exported in the actions. Don't worry, we will use those things in the action. Let me explain what's the action. So actions are used in Redux to send and to update, modify, or provide data to the Redux store, that major store, that huge store. So first let me just import all the things as API from /API/index. Sorry, we don't need the index because the entry point is going to be the index. So what does this API means? This API gonna contain all the functions inside this API. So what we can also do, we can just export const sign up. First we will write the function to sign up, and the second thing is going to be auth data. I will tell what are these things: auth data and history, which is going to have function. So let me just first explain where this sign up is going to be used, and we will also have another function like export const. So let me just copy this same thing. Sorry. So this time it's nothing but login. So we will use things like this. So here an arrow is missing, if I'm sure. So where we will be using this login and sign up function, we will use those things inside this form. So we have collected the data. This data is nothing but this name, email, password is going to be the auth data. We will send that auth data to this. By using this function, we will send that auth data to the Redux. So first let me just, in here, if it is a sign up page, I'm just going to first let me just import the sign up and login page, login functions. Import sign up from actions and also login. So if this is a sign up page, I'm just going to use the sign up function and I'm just going to pass the auth data. The auth data is nothing but name comma email comma password. So else there is going to be an else statement. If this is else, we are in the login page. In the login page we're just going to say login of the auth data for login is going to be email and the password, not the name. We don't need the name. So we have reduced a lot of code. So if you didn't use a function in the action, the what are the code inside the function is gonna be, we have to return those code inside here twice. So it also reduces our code in this code page. So now we will go here. So since we are dealing with Redux thunk, so since we are doing asynchronous actions in the Redux, we're gonna use Redux thunks. Thunk, that is what basically purpose of the Redux thunk. Redux thunk is used to do asynchronous options inside Redux. So that's what Redux thunk. So to do that, there's gonna be another arrow. So believe me, there's gonna be another arrow which is gonna have async with the keyword dispatch. I will tell what this dispatch means. Sorry, here it is going to be in parenthesis. So here I have missed something. We have to use dispatch to pass things. To use sign up and login function, since those are the functions of actions, which is a part of Redux, we have to dispatch that particular function. We have to dispatch that particular function so that reducer will receive a particular data. So we have to import that a hook called use dispatch. I don't know why it runs something like this. That's simply called as use dispatch from Redux. And then, so let me just make sure this from Redux. So it is from React Redux. So React dash Redux. And also I'm just going to need the history. So to do that, I'm just going to use history hook. This is going to be from React dash reporter dash down. So now we have to create two variables for history as well as dispatch. I will tell why we are using use history. Bear with me just for a bit of time. Const dispatch so in this we're gonna also have const history which is gonna be equals to use history. So I think there's no history in the updated version of React Rotterdam, because in the previous lecture also we missed with an error when we have used those history. So let me just get that page again. I believe it is in the ask question. It's not here. Let me just see where it is. So questions as well as insert question there's So we have used use navigate to do the task. So what we have done, we have just navigated to a particular location, I think. So we have just navigated. So it's like we have to use the navigate keyword. So history has been used, history hook has been deprecated, I think so, in the updated version of the React Router DOM. So what we can just get navigate. So we'll just get the navigate, and we will create something for the navigate, and we will just change this also to navigate. So like so, and then now we will just dispatch this function. Since this is this action, this sign up function is an action, particularly in Redux, so we have to dispatch that thing. So along with this auth data, we will also pass this navigate. So I will tell what we are using that navigate. So I passed that navigate, and then now where will we will receive those things. So we will receive that. So since we are using the sign up in here, first we have to complete this particular function. Since we are using Redux Thunk, we have to do this extra arrow. We have to use extra async dispatch and another arrow, since we are dealing with Redux Thunk, which is like a syntax. So in here we want to have a try catch block. So inside the try, I'm just going to const data. The data is going to be from the backend. We will just pass the function await. So let me explain again. Await, which is going to be equal to API dot sign up, and we will pass the auth data as well. So this thing, I believe this is to be navigate now, because we have replaced history with navigate. So what we have done, we have received that auth data. We have passed that auth data to our sign up function in the API. So what's inside the API? So you can see there's a post request to the database with the auth data. So if it is sent, it will return something. The database will return an acknowledgement with the result of the new user or the existing user along with the token. So that's what we have done in the backend code. So we will receive that thing. We will just collect that thing in the data. We will just store that data in the data, those results as well as the uh, token in the data. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to dispatch, sorry, just going to dispatch, and the type is gonna be auth. If you have heard this, dispatch type is going to be auth somewhere in our lecture. Wait for that, I will go to that location within a few minutes. So you can see now we have dispatched the data with the type of auth data. So now where this dispatch will go, it will go to the reducer. It will be, since we are inside the action now, it will just jump to that, just close this, it will just directly jump into this reduces auth, since that's where the type of auth exists. So it is existed in here, the type. So you can see this is nothing but an action. So since we are inside the actions of sign up, the type is auth. So the action type is auth. You can see the action dot type is auth. So you can see it is auth here. If it is auth, then what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to get the data. I'm just going to pass it to the local storage. Local storage dot set item. There are three types of data where browser can store data. inside the browser. We are just storing the data inside the browser. We can store it as cookie, we can store it in session, or else we can store it in local storage. We are, in our case, we are just going to store it in the local storage, where I'm just going to set item. I'm just going to give a name called profile for that particular item, and that item is gonna have a JSON dot stringify. I will explain what is that. Inside that, we'll just give dot action dot data. So this data is nothing but the second thing. So you can see we have passed type and as well as the data. So we have provided the action with a type. The type is matches auth. So this data is nothing but the data which we have provided in here. So what this question mark and dot operator, this is nothing but an optional operator, which if the data exists it will just select, if the data doesn't exist it will just leave. If you have used a normal operator, dot operator, if the data doesn't exist it will throw an error. That's why we are using a question mark here. So what this JSON stringify does, since we receive this data from the backend, this data is going to be in JSON. So we are just going to convert the JSON to a string. So that's how we can easily store that value in the profile. We will change this individual data value as string. We will store that value in the name of profile in the local storage of the browser. Then we don't want to return the entire state. Instead of the entire state, we will just return the so for state and as well as the new state, which is nothing but the data of action question mark dot data. So I think this is a lot of things we have covered now, so I will explain now. So after completing the entire code, so now we will just go to that auth, and we will also complete that login also, which is gonna look like the same thing. So we have just dispatched. Now what after dispatch, see if I just let me just refresh. Since we are in the auth page, after we are signing in we have to route to the home page. So that's why we are using navigate. Now I'm just going to navigate to the home page, which is gonna be slash. So that's all we have navigated. If there is an error, we'll just console log the error. So we will copy the same thing and we will paste it in the login page. So this name is going to be login. So other than that, everything is the same. There's no difference between particularly in this segment, there's no difference between login as well as sign up. We are just setting that auth, we are just setting that the data in the local storage of the browser. Now we will check we are able to log in or not, because we have done a lot of code in the backend as well as in the front end. Now especially in Redux we haven't checked anything, so it may throw an error or it may not. So first we will just check. So now we will just go here, we will go to the application, where you can see we do have, you can see local storage, session and cookies. So I have told there are a lot of storage. You can see there are storage like local storage, session, indexed DB, web SQL, cookies, trust tokens. You can use anything to store data. In our case I am using local storage. So now it has no data. You can see there's no key and value for our particular website. So now let me just go ahead and provide an email like manoj at gmail.com, and the password is going to be Manoj. So let me just log in now. there is nothing happened because there is no user called Manoj in the database, so we have to sign up first. So we will leave Manoj at Gmail as well as the password as Manoj. The name, display name is going to be Manoj Kumar. So now let me just sign up. So you can see here we go, we do got a magic now. So you can see here's the data in the database. So now let me just make this as a bigger screen to view everything easily. Let me just increase this. So now everything works fine, just not like that, without an error. You can see inside the local storage, you can see there's a key called profile, which we have used the name as profile in here, and we do have a value, and you can see here's a value. You can see there is a result, and the result is nothing but a user with an email joined at it as a time. You can see joined at we got a time, and the name is like Manoj Kumar, and the password is completely hashed. This is not a password what I have entered. I have entered MANOG, simple 5 letters, but here it is a hashed thing. And we do also got the token, which is really cool. We get a token which will expire in 1 hour. So now we will see is that data has been stored in the cloud, sorry, in the database. We will go to the users, we will just refresh. You can see here's a button called refresh, so the data is getting refreshed. Here we go. So you can see here's a new record in the database with the name, email, password, tags joined on. We got everything. So that's it guys, we have logged in to our web page, but we didn't change this login button into a logout button. We will see those things in the upcoming lectures. So for that's all for this lecture. In this lecture we have completed a lot of things, including backend code for authentication, as well as we have created a database. We have seen how to create a record in a database. We have seen how to create a schema in a database, and you can see we have integrated the backend with the front end, which is the most important and the complicated part. We have dealt with the Redux part. We have done a lot of actions and dispatch things. So let me explain the code again, so because you got a lot of confusion, I think so, in the code. So here's a quick overview. So we have just get all the email name and password value. We have just written some functions inside the auth actions. We are just dispatching that function. So we will go to the action, and in this action we do have auth data and navigate. So you can see we got the auth data and navigate. So now we will use function from the API, which is going to be this. We're just sending a post request with auth data, which will return some response for us, which will be stored in the data, and we are just passing that data as a type and the data to this Redux reducer, which is inside in the auth.js. So which if this type matches this action dot type, this is going to be auth in our case. If it is equal, we are just setting it in the local storage. So that's it. We have done we have completely done the authentication part. So now there is only one part left in the authentication, which is that we have to check the token, is that token is valid or not. We will see in the next lecture of that. So now here I will just demonstrate is the we are able to log in. So to do login, first let me just delete this local storage. So now we will go to the login page. We will go to the we have inside the login page. Here I'm just going to have Manoj at gmail.com. The password I'm just going to have Manoj, and I'm going to give login. So nothing done as of now. Let me just have another time login. So there is nothing. We will go to the console. We got some errors in here. So what are that error? So it's like sign up. It is calling me sign up, but I have to call the login. So there's something error in the API. So for sign up we are just calling the login. So the error is here. So you can see in the login function we have to use the login as the function from the API. So that's how it will work. We have to call this login function in the API. So that's what it contains the URL. The URL is like user slash login. So if we have used sign up, it's gonna be like sign up. So that's what the URL should match what we used in the backend. We have used the slash user slash login. So that's what we have to use in the front end also. So now we will refresh the page again. We will try to use, we will go to the application. We are inside the storage. We will use Manoj at Gmail and the password as Manoj. We will give an enter. So nothing is done as of now. Now there's nothing. So we will go to the console again. We do get the error. Slide says user slash login. There's an internal server error. So we will see what that error means. User slash login. So we will see any error is thrown here. So you can see there's an error thrown in the back end of the code. So now we will close these things. So here is something called as login. We have written a function for login. So we have to make sure that we have used that login in the routes. So we will go to the routes. You can see we have used that login from the controllers. The login is like this. In the function we do have the login function also. We'll go to the index.js file. Line 37 shows like line 37. Oops, you can see here I have made a mistake. So let me just explain what I have done. So you can see the new user is from the sign up. So since I have copied this code, I forgot to change the new user into the existing user, because in login we have to use the existing user. So error may occur in your code. You have to change that particular code. You just get used to get a lot of errors so that you may rectify and correct yourself. So now let me just refresh. Go down here. I have Manoj Gmail and the password is also going to be Manoj. We'll give a enter. So now you can see we are inside the browser. It shows a lot of error. It's like active class name. It may be related to the navbar. We will fix that. It is not a big deal. The main thing is what we are inside. We have logged in. You can see there is a token has been generated. The token has been generated. You can see the data is here. You can see. So that's all, guys, for this video. So just go through this video a lot of time, because authentication is our main thing in the when it comes to security. So we will meet in the next lecture. Thank you.